Hey everyone, welcome in to a daily editorial here on the KE Report. I'm kicking off today's daily editorials with an update from Eloro Resources, traded on the TSX Venture Exchange under the symbol ELO and on the OTCQX under the symbol ELRRF. I'm chatting with the technical advisor, Quinton Hennigh. Now, Quinton, we're following up on a news release that came out yesterday, April 13th. The headline numbers here from the Iska project. These are a combination of channel samples and drill results. The headline number, though, 442 grams per ton of silver equivalent over 166 meters. That included almost 1,100 grams per ton silver equivalent over 52 meters. These are the continuous sampling results at this Santa Barbara Adit. There is also a number of drill results that are in this news release. We'll get into some of the nuances here, but I just want to open it up to you there, Quinton, in terms of what do you want investors to understand about this channel sample?
Well, okay, this is an incredibly exciting story. I'll start there because I've never seen numbers like this out of a silver project like this. This is just nutty. Look, the scale of this thing is absolutely immense. If people don't have a perspective of these types of systems, you should do a little research on Cerro Rico de Potosi, which is the analog deposit for this. Okay, Cerro Rico de Potosi is in Bolivia. It's a what we call a silver tin porphyry system. It has other base metals as well. So it's really a polymetallic system, meaning it has a lot of different metals involved. And it's an absolutely huge deposit. Okay, Cerro Rico de Potosi actually is probably the single largest silver system on planet Earth. It's mined like 1.5 billion ounces on that order, and it's probably got maybe another 1 billion ounces left in resource and reserves. Okay, let's now come to Iska. Now that we know what we're looking for, let's look at the numbers we're starting to see here. This sample that was collected and added is absolutely riveting. 166 meters of 442 gram silver equivalent. Now, the silver actually constitutes about 160 grams of that, and the rest of the metals, including lead and, very importantly, tin. Tin is very high. Those contribute the bulk of the rest of the metal value in that intercept. Okay, now you might say, well, why on earth didn't these guys sample this thing straight up? Well, here's the thing. Have you ever been in an attic? You know, they're dusty, they're dirty, you can't really see what's going on the wall. Okay, when when Osvaldo, I should say, did his due diligence on the property way back when Eloro was picking this up, he took one sample at the end of the adit. At the end of the adit, you can see in the cross section of this Santa Barbara pipe, you can see the adit goes in and it basically tags the breccia pipe. Okay, so he collected one sample there. Very interesting results. When we got hole 15 back earlier this year, we started to put two and two together. There's a lot going on in this area. Well, Osvaldo says, okay, let's clean up the adit and then chip channel down the wall of this thing. And wham, I mean, they absolutely nailed it. This thing has huge, huge amounts of metal in it. Okay, now why is this important? Well, it's outside of the breccia pipe. Okay, this is actually out in the wall of the breccia. So these are in the rocks that form the carapace of the caldera complex itself. In my view, this is telling us that there's a lot going on east of the Santa Barbara breccia pipe. And in fact, this might be where the guts of the system is. That caldera lid, which is, I think, green in the cross section, might actually be where the guts is. And a lot of the drilling that we're doing, and don't get me wrong, the drilling has yielded fantastic numbers, long intercepts, multiple intercepts at every single hole of this silver tin polymetallic mineralization. But I think we're starting to see a picture emerge of the very high grade potential of this system. Again, so scale and grade is starting to look very much in line with what would be expected at Cerro Rico de Potosi.
So, Quinton, are you guys going to test then this extension? It sounds like there hasn't been any work or very much work done on looking outside of the pipe and also where the adit is.
This is early stage, Corey. I mean, this is crazy. We've been at this, I think, since September is when we colored our first hole. This caldera is 1.8 kilometers in diameter. Okay, we're barely just pricking the northwest corner of this whole area. Look at the plan map and you see what I mean. Okay, there's a heck of a lot more ground to explore. We are bringing in another rig, by the way. I think the third rig should arrive soon, and then they're talking about bringing the fourth one in too. This is a big system. We need all hands on deck. The company has a lot of cash now. They just raised some money. We need to hit this hard. I think we've just barely pricked the surface on this thing. There's a lot more going on here. Why do I say that? Well, just like the Santa Barbara adit, there are other historical adits. These adits go way, way back in time. Okay, these are some of them are old, but there's adits like this elsewhere across the property that are telling us there's similar potential like this at Santa Barbara over the entire 1.8 kilometer diameter of this complex. This is the kind of system that could generate hundreds of millions of tons, or even a billion plus tons of mineralized material with some dedicated, focused exploration for a couple of years.
Now, can you explain the aspect of having tin in these results, but also in hole 6? If we looked at hole 6, that was a result of little over 155 grams per ton silver equivalent, but the tin component is almost 0.5%. And from my understanding, this was one of the deeper holes drilled. So how does that play into the big picture?
People look at tin they don't know anything about it. I mean, how many people know the tin market? First of all, tin's trading around $28,000 a metric ton right now. So it's about $12 or $13 a pound, I believe. Okay, tin is, we'll call it a tech metal. Okay, you need tin for the electronics, the soldering. So it is a vital component, especially as they get away from lead solders. It's becoming more and more important. So tin is an important commodity. We have one of the first, discoveries of a tin deposit in many, many years here. Okay, this is exciting stuff. And like you said, in hole 6, we're seeing evidence of that tin porphyry system at a deeper level. Okay, we're seeing 0.43% tin over a long interval. I think it was 70, 75 meters, something like that. But it's telling us the porphyry's down there. It's telling us that, the system is doing just what one would expect. It's got the silver and base metals and a bit of gold and and even tin up high. But then as you go deeper, we're starting to see it evolve into a tin porphyry system. This is exciting stuff, man. To put it in perspective, most tin porphyries in Bolivia, I think, grade 0.15, 0.2% tin. We're seeing twice those kind of grades at Isca. This is unbelievable.
One thing also to note about that hole 6 is the interval there was over 73 meters. But Quinton, can you summarize for us? Because initially a lot of people looking at Eloro, we were all talking about this breccia pipe, but now we're getting this channel sampling that's outside of the breccia pipe. And then you're saying there's a tin porphyry at depth. What does it all mean for the potential of this project?
Okay, so in my brain, at least right now, this story does evolve too. I got to say, getting this data back, I remember Bill sent me this on Friday afternoon, and I'm thinking, oh, bugger me, I've got a long weekend ahead of me because I sat and calculated all the intervals here. But I got to know the system by looking at how the metals are distributed. So here's what I see right now. I mean, this isn't, it might change with time, but here's the way I see this. You have a caldera. It's 1.8 kilometers across. Okay, and these breccias seem to circle it like a ring, like a daisy chain around the caldera. Imagine a pot, and you got a lid on the pot, and you know how when it overboils, you get a bunch of frothy stuff around the edge of the pot. That's kind of what the breccias are doing in this case. They're kind of the frothy stuff around the lid of this caldera. The caldera might darn well be where the mothership is, okay? And we might be seeing that in the Santa Barbara Adit. So it's telling me that the actual caldera, which is basically like the lid of a pot, might be hiding the real system here. But what's driving it? Well, now we're seeing evidence, very strong evidence. I mean, basically slam dunk evidence. There's a porphyry or multiple porphyries down below this. Remember, this is an extinct volcano. Okay, volcanoes have a huge vertical profile. They change as you go from surface down into the ground. There's a magma chamber down there, and that's what's driving the tin porphyry part of the system. But all those fluids that came out of that volcano after it started to quiet down, They are the ones that went up and they hit this, this caldera lid, and I think they're starting to make a high grade system underneath this pressure cooker cap to this system. It's very exciting.
So it sounds like you guys still have a lot of work ahead of you, but what's the process going to be to continue to move this project forward, but to continue to gain a better understanding of it?
Look, continual drilling for the next in 2 or 3 years. I mean, honestly, that's with multiple rigs too. We've got to drill this thing in multiple different ways, use multiple different strategies. We got to be nimble. You can see how the results out of this Adit are definitely going to change how we approach exploration. We're probably gonna tackle the areas outside of the breccia pipes here soon with the drill. We need 4 drills operating continuously for the foreseeable future, and watch this story unravel. But I have very little doubt at this point that this is going to be one of the most exciting, if not one of the biggest, silver discoveries in a generation in Bolivia.
Oh, and it's more than just silver, too, right? That's the one thing that we're trying to drive home here. And that actually ties into what I wanted to ask you at the end here is that the stock was doing well at the start of the day when these results were announced, but it did sell off throughout the day. So what did the market misunderstand in your eyes?
I don't think the market necessarily understood things. This is going to sound crazy, but I think in this case we might have one party who was just looking for some liquidity and happened to use this as an excuse or an ability to get some cash. Otherwise, the feedback I've gotten from people has been very receptive. We will be telling this story over the next couple of weeks. Once you put news out like this, you got to go around and talk to the accounts that hold the stock and so forth, and explain to them, just like I'm doing here with you, explain to them what we're starting to see. But I think, today, don't worry about it. I mean, it's one trading day. The story is crystallizing for most people who understand it. I'm not worried in the slightest.
Hey, fair enough. You're seeing some pretty interesting grades here, right? And it sounds like you're just finding even more avenues and more areas to continue to explore and build out the resource and build out the overall understanding of the project. If anybody has any follow-up questions for Quinton or the rest of the team at Eloro Resources, please email me, fleck@kereport.com. I will get those answered personally and potentially even bring Quinton back on to address a number of those questions if they come in. So, Quinton, I appreciate the update. I will post a link to this news release, and I'm sure you and I will be chatting again in the next couple of weeks. Thanks for your time, Quinton.
Thank you, Corey.